I think the way this is going to flow is I'll start off, try to give a little 30,000-foot view. Ron, as you well know, will hit all the specific points. And then Nikki Bayless, the executive director of the Arizona Sports and Entertainment Commission, will speak. And then any of us will take any questions that you have. Okay? So I'll just jump into it right now. Appreciate everybody joining us this afternoon. I think everyone pretty much knows the inning and the score on this topic. Due to the current health restrictions, men's and women's basketball are prohibited to practice and compete in Las Cruces. New Mexico State and UNM are the only schools in the nation that I know of that are facing this. In order to prepare and compete for the upcoming season, which begins in 8 days, we needed to find a location and a facility that would allow us to do so. After considering multiple states and venues, the Arizona Grand in Phoenix, Arizona was selected. Brian Cartwright, our deputy AD and COO, will get into the specifics, but our entire team felt that this specific location offers good isolation, a very close driving, an unlimited practice facility, testing capabilities, and quite frankly, the best economic option. I certainly want to thank Braun for his tireless work on this endeavor. He put in an immense amount of hours. But the biggest thanks of all goes to Nikki Bayless, the executive director of the Arizona Sports and Entertainment Commission. Nikki and I went to rival high schools back in the day, if you didn't know that. And I always joke that I'm Phoenix and she's Scottsdale. Okay, for you people, that's Shadow Mountain versus Chaparral. Nikki was also the point person for operations when we appeared in the Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. So she got to know our administration, our staff, and many of our members of Aggie Nation who turned out for the game. Her son Joey also signed with us in baseball before going to a Pac-12 institution. So there's a lot of personal connections there. And I can't really express my thanks enough for her hard work and her team for making this venue possible. So just a little bit as a reminder, since August 23rd, and Braun will correct me if I'm wrong, so almost 3 months, we've had just one positive men's player and 0 positive women's players. And we certainly hope to keep that up as we move along in the season. I think the question comes, and I'll maybe beat somebody to the punch. Why do you do this? And I'm going to answer it this way. When I meet with prospective student athletes, specifically here, we're talking men's and women's basketball, but all of them, I talk about 3 things primarily: academics, the social climate in Las Cruces, and competition. With only one player in the NBA and G League, and one just needing 3 credits to graduate, who's enrolled in the spring semester, Chris Jans has graduated every single player that has played for him and completed his eligibility. So we certainly check that box. The basketball team has done countless hours of community service, collected food for the Aggie cupboard, toys for children during Christmas time, and for the most part have been excellent citizens in the community. So I think we more than check the social box. Now, as far as the competitive piece, me as the AD who meet with these prospective recruits, their families in my office, I looked them in the eye and told them that they would be playing for a great coach who would demand the best from them. They would have an opportunity to play for conference championships, play high-level games, a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, and if that was their dreams, to play professionally as well. And I'm very glad that we'll be able to keep our word on the last piece by allowing them to prepare for the season and compete. With that said, I'd like to invite Brian Cartwright, our Deputy AD, COO, and as I lovingly refer to him as the brains of the operation, maybe talk about some of the specifics of the selection process.
As Mario mentioned, this process started a couple of weeks ago with initial discussions with Coach Jans and his staff about, if this was a requirement, what would they be looking for, as we move forward. It really picked up, we really started faster, I guess, on Wednesday and Thursday of last week when the decision was made that was going to require us to leave the state for practice and competitions. One of the very first Zooms that we had was actually with Nikki Bayless and her staff, and that ultimately grew. Our initial focus was to find a place that we could practice for just a few days, maybe a week or so locally in Tucson or Phoenix, and then to kind of move into phase two, which we find a home for a longer period of time for the fall semester. Ultimately, we moved right into phase two, calling multiple entities across Phoenix and Las Vegas. We had several of our staff members reaching out to alums and contacts. We looked at private facilities, we looked at high schools, junior colleges, even some large arenas in the area, and ultimately some hotel ballrooms. One of the criteria we were looking at was a place that had an airport. We could access games as we were playing as a road opponent, as well as bring in opponents to play there in either Phoenix or Las Vegas. Three criteria that we focused on when we were looking at these individual places were COVID safe practices. Obviously, our number one, everything that we've done, is leading up to the season, taking care of our student athletes in that regard. And number two is student athlete welfare. We've asked a lot of our student athletes over these past 3 months, probably, more than any other school, and they've done, more than we could have asked of them. And we wanted to really protect their welfare and their mental health as we move forward. And the third thing was a basketball facility, and we'll kind of get into that as we move forward a little bit here. But ultimately, over the weekend, Friday and Saturday, we narrowed it down to 6 facilities that we were looking at. Ultimately, that was 3 in Las Vegas and 3 in Arizona. Became our focus. We chose, as Mario mentioned, the Arizona Grand Resort and Spa, based on our conversations with them, and they really met our needs, from those 3 areas. From a COVID safe practice, they have external doors that open up into a courtyard. We're on the ground floor, so there's no elevators. What that does, it allows us to avoid shared spaces. So there's no elevator usage, there's no hallway usage, and that's important, to us. They also have an expansive outdoor space. They are a resort that allows us, student athletes, room to move around. They won't interact with other individuals in the area. So that was important to us as well. Maricopa County is currently requiring masks as well. So that's also something that we took into account. In addition to, they're going to provide us a space for our student athletes for meals, to-go meals, options, snacks. And that space will be limited just in Mexico State men's basketball. So that's very beneficial. We don't have to worry about interacting with other individuals. As far as student athlete welfare, it's important to us. Dr. Brian Schaefer, who's a team doctor previously for the LA Dodgers and the Phoenix Coyotes, he's going to be assisting to us. We will have our athletic trainer, Mike Anderson, with us, but we won't be able to take our entire medical staff. So it's great to have somebody like that you can reach out to. In addition to, then there will be an area for the student athletes, and just not a hotel room, but they actually have their own living space. You initially look for a football hotel, and that's primarily what I do in the fall. You're looking for a space that you're going to spend one night. In this case, we're asking them to spend up to 5 weeks, in this particular area. So having that extra space to spread out, having a private little balcony area was important to us, and the Arizona Grand met that as well. Also, they have one of the best weight training facilities that I've seen at any hotel or / resort. They actually have free weights and a lot of things that we would need, and we'll have to bring very limited supplies to that. And the third thing, as far as a basketball facility, we really started discussing the idea of recreating the Pan Am experience versus a road trip. When you're on a road trip, you have practice maybe 3 hours a day, and you return to the hotel and watch film multiple times. When you're at home, your student athletes are allowed to come into Pan Am Center. They do their 3 hours of practice, but if they want to get up shots, before practice or after practice, live in the gym, they're able to do that. And that's what really the Arizona Grand Resort and Spa allows us to do. Nikki and her staff are having a floor installed as we speak into a ballroom that we'll have unlimited access to. Our student athletes will be able to access that floor at any time to get their shots up. We'll conduct our practices there. And it really recreates that Pan Am experience that we were looking for. So that was important to us. The other things that were important to us that, Nikki and her staff are able to provide is a testing. She has a contact for testing there through Althea Pro testing. That's important to us. Obviously, having to test 3 times a week to meet the NCAA standards. They have a agreement with Get Clean Arizona to do the disinfecting. So that's will be helpful. And the fourth thing that we really didn't focus on at the time, but really came out as is the most important thing to me is Nikki Bayless and her staff. I met Nikki in 2017 as I was walking up the ramp after we beat South Alabama football for the bowl game. That was my first call. And she went above and beyond to make our Noble Home Alone's Arizona Bowl experience phenomenal. And I know she will take care of our men's basketball team in the same manner. And I think our staff had a Zoom with her yesterday, and they've already realized that, that having boots on the ground and people there to assist you if you have questions, is going to be probably the most important thing when it comes to, being at this facility. So Based on that, I'll now introduce, as we mentioned, Nikki Bayless, the Executive Director of the Arizona Sports and Entertainment Commission.
So I can tell you, first off, my family doesn't think as highly of me as all of you. I can't think of the kind words, but I got to tell you guys, really, it was a community effort. I mean, we did this in like 4 days, and it was because Arizona cares about student athletes. That's it. That's what Arizona Sports and Entertainment Commission does. We did it for the student athletes. And of course, our experience with the Aggies and the Arizona Bowl was second to none. You guys were incredible, incredible staff. But Arizona Office of Tourism, Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority, the Gila River Arena, the AIA, Position Sports, our board of directors, My Camp Solutions, all of them stepped up. And I did not hear one no. We looked for 2 baskets. We got 7 calls. We looked for a floor. Everybody jumped in. We got a floor donated. All these pieces had to come together, and they came together in 3 days. That's community. That's what we do in Arizona. We are so unbelievably excited to have New Mexico State there. We're excited to take care of the kids. My staff, we know more about laying floor and putting mezzanine flooring underneath, and we know more about basketball now than we ever thought we would know. We're excited. Our whole staff is working right now, preparing for the arrival of the team tonight. We're just going to take care of them. We're going to take care of them in a first-class way, and it's about the kids. And we're thrilled. And our entire state, our state government, we're ready to work, and we're just happy for the opportunity. It's been a trying year for sports in general. We at the commission have not had a real live event since February of 2020. So getting the chance to feel normal again and to work, it's been a stressful 4 days, but it has been so much fun. So we're welcoming everybody. We'll be there. We'll wait for you tonight. And here we go. We're going to start. Thank you so much for the kind words. We are ready.
I'll take Charlie's place here. So questions, I don't know if I'm supposed to say identify yourself and your location, since I can see Zoom, but I've been in enough of these, or at least know the lingo. So I don't know how you raise your hand on Zoom. I guess I saw Colin first.
Yeah, well, Colin Deaver with KTSM TV. Good to be here with everybody. I was just curious, first of all, is this the men's and women's teams? And also, is it, the cost of all of this? How much is this expected to cost for you guys?
Sure. I'll take that. Right now, the facility we're talking about here, the Arizona Grand, is the men's team that we're talking about. Braun can get into some specifics, but the women's team is going to go out of state, probably Tucson, to practice a little bit, come back and quarantine. And then I think we would get into our UTEP games. So that's how their season would start. So, we gave both programs the option. The men seemed to skew to more of a, one location, where the women seemed to skew to, multiple locations. And they're well aware that when they're in the state, just like any citizen that leaves the state, they're going to have to quarantine, and they're prepared to do that. As far as the cost is concerned, certainly, that's an issue of ours. I think Braun can talk specifics, on that. But I will say this, I'll preface it, because Braun and Nikki kind of, I'd say, glossed over it a little bit. I mean, Nikki and her team are providing an enormous amount of things gratis, which made this, in my mind, a clear-cut choice. But I'll let Braun maybe put a finer point on that.
Absolutely. The cost, for the facility itself is really just for the rooms, but in addition to the rooms, it's going to include the practice facility, the testing, the disinfecting, all of that kind of came in as one package. So I think that's where, when you see the final numbers, it definitely was the less expensive option, and also the best option. But for the rooms over that length of time, what we're looking for, the 5-week time, was the total of $78,000. The meals obviously are to be determined, but based on our per diem rate, and what that looks like, $39 a day is what we're allowed to use here in the state of New Mexico. Over that same period of time would be $21,000. So between those two items, it's just under $100,000. We're saving on testing, which is significant when you look at the cost of testing that I had to in Las Vegas and some other options. That does not include transportation. Transportation is somewhat to be determined. The great thing about being at the Arizona Grand Resort is that we have to utilize a bus to get there, but then we're going to allow that bus to leave. The team will just stay at the facility and not need to be bused to a practice facility. So it'll be minimal transportation for vehicles and maybe some contests and things like that.
Hey Mario, just a quick question. I have a couple questions here. Is this where you're going to be playing your home games as well at the resort? And also the latest on the animus of UTEP, playing UTEP, how the latest talks on that going as far as getting UTEP on the schedule?
All right, that was Adrian Ochoa from KOA TV, correct?
KVIA. It's Mario.
KVIA. Oh, geez, sorry about
ABC
that.
7. Oh,
Trying to
good,
make
Mario.
it Albuquerque. My apologies. See, I was being too smart. Hey, Adrian, let me answer the questions for you. So that is the next, just think of that movie, Apollo 13. You're trying to solve one problem at a time. The next thing we are trying to solve is where we're going to play our games. Certainly, Braun looked at venues in Las Vegas that are available. With the team in Phoenix, I think our druthers would be, could we play in Phoenix? So we've looked at some universities there. I think Nikki has a call in to some professional arenas. So we have not, that's our next issue that we're going to tackle so we can start scheduling games. As far as the UTEP game, I got a lot of calls this morning when UTEP's schedule was out. So I read the release and it said, more games, to come will be scheduled. I talked to our coaches. They said they have been in contact and there's some potential dates that they're kicking around. I think a lot of people have heard that the Sun Bowl tournament is not going to happen this year. That's to our detriment because we were going to play in that and play 2 games. But I'm very confident that we'll do everything we can to make sure we have those UTEP games on the schedule. That and UNM. And I spoke to the athletic director, Eddie Nunez, and Jim Center at UTEP today. So those are very important to us, and we'll do everything we can to make sure, those get scheduled.
Hey, Braun or Mario, either one of you, I want to make sure, I think I heard you say this was a 5-week endeavor. Is that's what the cost estimates were anyway? They were based on a 5-week window. I want to make sure that's what you said. And also what goes beyond that, is this potentially renewable beyond 5 weeks if and when the New Mexico's public health order does not change?
That is correct. We based this starting, in today through I guess close to the end of December, which would be kind of our last game of the non-conference. So it's based kind of on a 5-week schedule. We've had discussions with the Arizona Grand about the extension and what that would look like. We have a few weeks to make that decision, based on what the state of New Mexico looks like and potential opportunities to return home to the Pan Am Center for the conference play.
Did you also say that in that 78,000 number, that does include rooms, facility, and the testing is in that number, or the testing was separate?
That number it's primarily rooms, but as part of this entire package, it includes the testing, the facility, the disinfecting, all of that is wrapped up in that one number.
That
Jeff,
testing is
Jeff, let me just finish that. That's the kind words for Nikki. I can't express how much they've bent over backwards to make this happen for us. You guys know what our budget is, and I mean, I'd almost start bawling here when I read, their proposal and things like that. The second thing, the 5-week thing, for me, it's kind of like you're thinking of non-conference. Like mentally, I'm thinking, hey, when conference play starts, hopefully we can be back in the state. Obviously, I don't know that. I don't have that, but I think, mentally we were thinking, hopefully at the beginning of the year, things would be better and we could come home.
I got 2 questions for you. On the testing, I think that's great that it's included. How often will they be testing? I don't know what your league is requiring. I know some it's 3 times a week once. And the other one, when do you anticipate with college basketball starting next Wednesday, when do you anticipate your first game being played?
I'll take the first part. Jeff, the NCAA is now requiring 3 tests a week. We will do that. We have been doing that even when the NCAA was only requiring one test a week. So yeah, we will test 3 times a week. Braun can maybe take that second question.
As far as when the first game will be played, we've been in discussions with several universities there in the area as well as in the region. It's expected that we'll have a game next week with opening day on Wednesday. We would love to have a game on Wednesday as well, but definitely, I think we're looking to have a game next week.
Hey guys, when will you leave?
The team has departed, so I think their ETA is I don't know, maybe 8 p.m. or something like that.
9:30. We know exactly.
All right,
9:30.
that's why we have you.
Okay.
You're my Arizona Braun. I love that.
Exactly. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the testing. Althea Pro. So the Arizona Sports and Entertainment Commission, we hadn't been doing anything. So when we knew that there weren't enough testing sites in Arizona, we decided that we became experts in COVID testing. And now I know why. It's because we're getting ready for New Mexico State. So we partnered up with a group called Althea Pro, and Ariana is our head girl. And she has been with us since June. And it wasn't 2 seconds we called her and she's in. Of course, she got in a conference call and she didn't know how big of a deal it was until she was in front of New Mexico State. But PCR testing, she does it all: antigen, antibody, PCR, and she is just incredible.
Mario, I have a question for you. Do you guys, I'm sure, anticipate some of these games being broadcasted? Like football, would you recover some of the costs of going on the road from broadcast money?
Well, yeah, Van, I appreciate it and the question, and I'll tell you, there's when you start thinking about finances, and Eddie Nunez and I spoke about this. You got to look at the savings. Now, I don't know if this will be a savings, but right now, we pay $20,000 a month to rent the Pan American Center. Okay, $240,000 a year. We traveling to other games. Guarantee games that we bring in, we pay out to opponents. And then on top of that is all the security costs of our games, which is significant. So there's a lot of things that we can put in the savings category. From a revenue containment, you're exactly right. I mean, we've got sponsors, and while I don't think Aggie Vision is necessarily set up to go down Interstate 10 and end up in Phoenix, we've been talking about the ability to, if there's cameras in the location, can they beam it back to our truck? We can put it out, fulfill all of our sponsorship agreements, games on the radio, et cetera. So that's a big monies that we need to recapture. And that's one of the big things. The other thing is, every team that advances to the NCAA tournament receives a pretty good stipend from the Western Athletic Conference. So there are monies that we will recover. So when we eventually, and Lord knows, I'm not telling you we have it right now, but we will put together a cost, a revenue, a savings, and, I'm sure we'll save it. I'm sure we'll share it with you guys, but we'll start working on that document very soon.
Hey guys, hope everything is going well. My name is Cameron Cox. I'm out here at 12 News in Phoenix. Just curious, just the excitement level from New Mexico State to find a place to practice, to live, and to be able to carry on basketball during this time. And have you guys reached out to GCU and ASU about scrimmages or anything like that during this time?
Yeah, Cameron, great to have the question. I'm excited for a few reasons. Personally, Phoenix is my hometown. But I was interviewed today by Adam Young, and he said, wow, you look different. And I said, it's a weight off my shoulders. Look, we have a long road to go, but, and you guys might think this is kind of corny, but when you promise a student athlete, a kid and his parents, you're going to provide opportunities for them, and then it looks like you can't. Excuse me, that takes a toll. And I'm just really, really happy that they're going to get this opportunity. I think the team, well, look, when you're leaving your apartment and your bills and your pets, and your families. I guess Zoom, I could block out the camera, but it's tough. But I think they're very excited that they're going to have a chance to, practice and compete, and we're excited for them.
Thank you. We're excited to have you here in the Valley. And then just to follow up on that, have you reached out to ASU or GCU about anything scrimmage-wise with them locally with other colleges?
Yeah, we have. We've had discussions with Grand Canyon, their president, Brian Muller, and their athletic director, Jamie Boggs, have been tremendous. So there is a possibility there. I believe basketball has reached out to Arizona State. So I think those conversations have been had, as well as Nikki trying to find, heck, I even asked her about the old madhouse on McDowell. What's going on in there? That's how old of a Phoenician I am. So yeah, we're going to turn over every rock, look for the best opportunity for us, and hopefully, play some Division I games in Phoenix, Arizona.
Do you foresee the majority of the games being on the road for non-conference, or do you think you'll maybe a 50-50 split in Phoenix or on the road?
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, they're all going to be on the road because, the Phoenix location won't be our home. It would be great if we could, and I don't mean that facetiously. I mean, if we could get in there and shoot around. So, you know what I mean? It feels a little bit like we're used to it. But yeah, in a perfect world, our two rivalry games would be at our new home. That has not been decided yet. But at this late date, I also don't foresee playing, what I would consider a full non-conference slate. If I could get those 4 games in, the 4 rivalry games, and some Division II opponents, I probably feel like I'm playing with house money a little bit. But we'll see what the basketball staff comes up with.
Just for the fans, I mean, how are they going to be able to, and I don't know if you might have touched on it a bit, but for fans, how are they going to be able to watch these games?
Yeah, Adrian, another unanswered question, right? If our games have the capability to have cameras and we could beam that back to Aggie Vision, the games could be on Fox Sports Arizona. We still have a 40-game deal with them. They're great partners. It would be on Comcast statewide. We have a deal with Flow Sports, certainly WAC Digital. So yeah, we are committed to doing everything we can, that every single game that we play, whether it's Division II or a rivalry game, will be seen by our fans. And then, depending on what the venue is and what the laws and rules are in Arizona, then we'll attack will fans be allowed to come question.
Mario or Braun, either one of you, could you guys kind of break down a little bit more of the home base, the Las Cruces part of this? There are some athletes, I assume, like you mentioned, pets and stuff like that. I don't know if coaches are leaving just by themselves or if coaches are bringing family and if any of them are bringing. Is there something set up back in Las Cruces where you guys are taking care of things like bills that need to be paid still in Las Cruces and mail checks and the pets, feeding pets or taking care of pets, stuff like that?
Yeah, Jeff, and that's why we have an infrastructure back here. We certainly work with Nate Flores, our assistant AD for compliance, and Braun, obviously, for his decade in compliance background to make sure, we're not doing anything we should. But yeah, as long as we are here physically in Las Cruces, we want to take the burden off the players because, they had all moved into the dorms in Las Cruces for the bubble. Now they're moving, to Arizona. So yeah, there's a lot of personal things that were, I talked to Coach Jans last night. Somebody's got a pet that they were trying to figure out what are they going to do with the pet. They take it to the pound or what? It was a big deal. So, that's why, these things aren't easy, but, we're committed here as a staff to help them, we're their kind of boots on the ground in Las Cruces. Whatever they need, we're going to do.
And at the risk of monopolizing this, I'm not trying to, but I do need to ask the the leadership obviously last week made their decision to allow the chancellor sort of okay you guys finding a way to play. The governor has made very clear she does not want this to go on, and especially not in her state or in the state. So I'm curious from that standpoint. The other aspect of this is not just the good news that you're reporting now about relocation and getting to play a season. The other part of this is the political part of it, and that is, are you concerned that there may be repercussions for essentially going against the governor's will at this? And are the Board of Regents, have they expressed to you their backing that they know that this could come with at least some bad feelings, if nothing else?
Oof. Well, I tell you what, Jeff, I have not heard directly from the state government nor the leadership that this is not allowable. Certainly I've studied pretty close what UNM football has done. It may not be desirable. It's certainly not desirable for us, but we're committed to following, as they say, the letter of the law, and I believe we have done so. We laid this out pretty significantly at the Regents meeting. I know a lot of you had listened to that, and the Regents were, pretty clear in their 5-0 vote with the different options. I feel like we're on pretty solid ground in doing this. I mean, I do not have the crystal ball.
I wanted to make clear, if I suggested it's not allowable in my question, that's not what I meant. Just not desirable. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And you know what? I hear what you're saying, and I've got a responsibility, I feel, to these kids, these student athletes. That was the end of my comments. I see Cindyetta over there giggling. Okay.
Mario, it's one thing just going to Phoenix and relocating, but you're in a 4-diamond resort in Phoenix, which means you might have a hard time getting this team to come back when it's time to actually leave.
Well, I tell you what, it may have the words resort and spa in it, but the prices are more like the Motel 6, and that's all thanks to Nikki Bayless. So when we lay that out, I mean, you see the total price. I could walk to Phoenix and kiss her feet for everything she's done to make this affordable. She knows what New Mexico State is. She knows what we have. She knows what we don't have. Hey, she thought enough of this place that her son, was going to come here. So she's got a tremendous working knowledge of the staff, our budgets, and she moved literal heaven and earth to make this affordable for us. And, as I say, don't get it twisted over the name. The price is Aggie prices.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Are you willing to take that pet if they can't find a place for that pet, Nikki? Are you guys willing to take it at the?
We're 100% going to take it. I'm not kidding you guys. It was a huge community effort. I appreciate the kind words, but without my state government, without the Arizona Office of Tourism, without the Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority, this is not possible for us. We're the Arizona Sports and Entertainment Commission. We're small, we're mighty, but we're small. And people came out of the woodwork. We did not hear a no. And that is unusual. And that shows the testament. That's how much we care about the student athletes. And listen, personally, I love the New Mexico State Aggies. My kid was going to go to school there. I hit it off with New Mexico State. I mean, I forgive Mario from going to Shadow Mountain and not Chaparral. But other than that, love the program.
Mario, what is the scheduling process? This has never been done before. We're 8 days away. There's no schedule out. You say there's going to be a game next week. I can. I mean, the whole process, is it going to be a couple of games at a time, not just releasing one full schedule, just, all right, next week we're going to do this, and how's that going?
Yeah, I believe this is what's going to happen. We will start off with playing some Division II games of Arizona schools. And I don't necessarily believe we need to find some NBA arena to do that. And then we are actively working for those 4 games. I'm sure UNM's schedule is unbelievably similar to ours in the non-conference. UTEP obviously is a little more robust. But yeah, it's going to be done. I say a little on the fly, but I think once the guys get there tonight, unpack, feel it around, that's the next big ticket item is finding an arena and scheduling the games. And if I may, before the next question, Ron, I think was going to put a little point on the finances.
Yeah, just on the finances, I know half of you will IPR this request anyway, so we might as well put it out there. But, as far as the contract with the hotel, the rooms came in at $105 a night. So that number at $78,000 sounds like a significant number, but when you consider that $105 includes access to a floor for 24 hours a day, testing, all the protections and different things. I mean, it's a phenomenal price that we were able to put together. This is the only package really that included really the hotel and both the floor. The other venues we were looking at, we were going to have to pay a hotel price and rental space in a facility, and that's what made this one ultimately the most affordable and best option for us.
Is that, I guess for Braun or Mario, is that cost, is it something that's like funds from something else can be reallocated in the budget, or is this something that you guys will be having to pay on top of everything else?
Well, I tell you what, Colin, it's something that we're going to have to pay, but we have already talked with our development staff, and we will be launching a few initiatives for Aggie fans, Aggie Nation, to help offset this cost. I'm not prepared to lay that out today, but that'll be coming very soon. So we will actively look for our fan base, our alums to kind of chip in. And, in a perfect world, whatever the bill ends up, that's how much money I've raised. I mean, I would like nothing better. I think some of you know that. To say that, hey, we were able to raise the exact amount that we needed to, but we're going to put a darn good effort on it. But as I said, Colin, when you start putting these things down, like on the ledger, let's just say that for 2 months, we didn't have to pay the rental of the Pan Am because we're not there. I'm not suggesting that they're going to allow us to do that, but that's $40,000 that we're saving, so some of these are going to be very easy to put in a black and white format. Some are going to be a little nebulous till we get the answers. But at the end of the day, I think you guys know we're pretty darn transparent. We'll give you the whole, ledger spreadsheet, so you can just see what the finances are.
Mario, I know you and Braun both alluded to the fact that, you're going 5 weeks at a time and you're not going to make the decision afterwards until you'll absolutely need to. But I'm assuming also as you make this move, this could be potentially a home until March if that situation doesn't improve in New Mexico and you're really left with no other choice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, we have all of our meetings have been contingency planning. We'd be foolish if we didn't plan for the end game. It's nothing that we really want to mentally contemplate because that's an awful long time. But yeah, we're looking at all the scenarios. And if there's one hope that things get better at home so we can return.
Mario, it's Kyle McDonald from Whack Hoops Digest. Have you talked to Chris Jans and the feeling of relief that now they have a plan of where they can work out as a team and be together and prep for the season? I know at Whack Media Days, you could tell the frustration was there from him and the players. Have you talked to them about the relief of knowing that they're moving forward now instead of having to kind of wait and see what's going to happen?
Kyle, I don't know if I'd say that all my conversations with Chris Jans have been one of relief. Perhaps he's relieved after he tells me everything he's got to tell me, and then I don't feel relieved. But yeah, no, it was difficult. I joke with Chris. I was all excited about some options, and then he kind of let me know the downside of leaving your home for all these weeks. But interestingly enough, Adam I haven't spoke to Chris today. I spoke to him last night, and Adam Young, our broadcaster, said, "Man, Chris sounded a little better. We know what we're facing." But I do personally think it's a relief to say, hey, we're going somewhere, certainly somebody, and we know that somebody's going to take care of us and going to be there to troubleshoot any issues. And we're actually going to practice and prepare, and let's start getting, there's such a buildup to the season. I think it took a lot of weight off his shoulders as well. I know he's traveling, and I'm sure Charlie is going to set something up with him and the media, I'm going to be under the assumption this week, so he can kind of tell you from the basketball side of things.
How about the student athletes and I mean, everything that they're going through, and I'm not sure with your semesters, is it finals right around Thanksgiving? And so do you have that window without classes the next 5 weeks?
Well, when we moved to the bubble on campus, all the classes were moved online for the student athletes. So finals week is what, Brian, is that like December 5th-ish?
Yeah, we have one more week of classes, then Thanksgiving, and then 2 more weeks after that.
Yeah. So, we will monitor them virtually on their courses to make sure they're doing what they need to do. The downside of this, Jeff, I had a Zoom with the women's team. I hear a lot about what's going on with the men's team through Coach Jans. I do think there's a little relief, but Bron and I sat there and we just laid it all out for the women and said, ask us any question you want. We know this isn't, the best thing. This is when they were moving into the bubble, but I think, it's incumbent upon us to avail ourselves, give them every piece of information that we know, answer every single question that they have, and let them know that we, the administration, are doing our best for their health, academics, mental health, and competitiveness. And I think, I never want to speak for our student athletes, but I think they've been pretty good with us, working with us on this. And Kyle, by the way, I don't know who your source is, but you got some pretty good sources there, man. I didn't know who you were.
Anybody else for Mario or Bron? Okay, perfect. Hearing none.
Charlie, are you going to set something up with Jans in the near future, I assume? I'm sure you can just reach out to these guys later.
Yeah, just to kind of give a little background, we're traveling at the moment, and as soon as we settle in, we're going to set something up for tomorrow, either pre or post practice, depending on what works best for the schedule. But I'll communicate that with everybody on here as well.
Hey guys, I'm just curious, who do we reach out to make sure that people in Phoenix are included on that practice schedule?
Just go ahead and reach out to me, Cameron. This is Charlie Hurley.
Yeah.
Charlie, appreciate it.
I'm glad Cameron brought that up because I made a note of it and I was going to forget. The one thing outside of the state of New Mexico and Texas, Arizona is the 3rd largest hub for alums in the country. That largest hub being in Phoenix. So we will remind our fans at every single occasion, do not go to the hotel. Do not try to wish the guys well. Don't try to bring them snacks. Don't try to say hi to Coach Jans. They're not going to be hanging out in the lobby or anything. So as much as we appreciate our Phoenix Aggies, they're very passionate. They support us tremendously when we play Grand Canyon. They supported us tremendously when we played Arizona State. We're making an appeal to, kind of stay away from our guys from a physical standpoint. And, we'll see about the games and if they're allowed to come and things like that. But I just wanted to get that in, make sure I mention it. Nikki, anything else for the group?
No, we're just excited. We're excited to have you. My whole staff, I'm just so proud of them. They're at the hotel right now waiting for you guys to come. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. And any other questions, just, you guys can hit myself or Braun up. I think you have all of our numbers and email addresses and things like that. Sound good?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Yeah,
appreciate
thank
you.
Thank you.
Okay.